The origin of Silver Surfer. Herald of Galactus before he became a shining figure who soared across the endless void, before his name was whispered among the stars as both savior and destroyer, he was simply Norrin Radd, a man living on a perfect world. Zenn-La, paradise of peace, a planet untouched by war, hunger, or pain. Its skies were bright, its oceans pure, and its people lived in endless comfort. It should have been enough. But for Norrin, it wasn't. From the moment he could think for himself, he yearned for something more. Not more wealth or power, but more meaning. The stars called to him, whispering of mysteries beyond the edges of his world. He loved one person above all Shalabal, the woman whose presence could calm the storm inside him. And yet, even her love could not quiet that relentless voice inside. There must be more. That longing would become his curse. One day, the skies above Zenn-La trembled. A shadow of vast and ancient fell over the world. At first, people thought it was an eclipse. But the darkness didn't move. Grew. A voice echoed from the void. It was not sound, but something deeper, something that spoke to the soul itself. It announced the arrival of Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds. Norrin's people had never known fear, but now they saw death descending from the heavens. Galactus's ship, massive beyond comprehension, eclipsed the sun. It was like a floating fortress the size of a moon, a harbinger of extinction. Zenn-La's leaders scrambled. They had no weapons capable of stopping him. No defenses against a god who fed on planets. In the council chambers, panic spread like fire. They spoke of escape, of abandoning their world. But Norrin refused to accept defeat. He demanded to meet Galactus himself. Not to beg, but to bargain. When the great being appeared before him, Norrin felt smaller than dust. Galactus's eyes were galaxies in themselves, ancient, endless, and hungry. To speak to him was to feel your existence shrink into nothing. But Norrin stood firm. "I will give you something greater than this world," he said. "A guide, a servant, someone to lead you to other worlds, worlds you can consume, if you spare Zenn-La." Galactus regarded him with a gaze that seemed to burn through his very soul. And then he agreed. But this bargain would cost Norrin everything. Galactus reached out, and reality itself twisted. Energy unlike anything mortal eyes had seen surrounded Norrin. His skin shimmered like liquid silver. His mind expanded beyond the limits of human thought. His body became a vessel for the power cosmic. And his name was erased. Norrin Radd was gone. The Silver Surfer was born. But the man who had once looked up at the stars with wonder, now looked upon them with a new purpose. To find worlds for his master to consume. And the first world he would lead Galactus to would forever haunt him. The transformation was not only in his body, it was in his soul. Gone was the warm pulse of a human heart. In its place, an endless current of the power cosmic. He could feel the heartbeat of suns, the quiet death of distant moons. The very fabric of space whispered in his mind. But with that power came the chains of servitude. Galactus's will was now his command. He was given his board smooth, gleaming, and alive with energy. It would carry him faster than light, across galaxies in moments. And with it, his endless task began. He searched for worlds rich with life and energy. Worlds that could sustain Galactus's hunger. At first, he told himself it was mercy. That by guiding his master, he could choose lifeless worlds. Planets of stone and ice. Worlds where no voice would scream. But hunger like Galactus's is not patient. Lifeless worlds could not sustain him. And so, the surfer began to choose differently. The first world he led Galactus to was lush. Beautiful. A jewel among stars. His people gazed up at the sky in awe, just as Zenn-La once had. And then, they were gone. Their oceans boiled. Their lands burned. Their skies turned to ash. The Silver Surfer told himself it was the way of the universe. That he served a force beyond good and evil. But in the deep silence between the stars, the voice of Norrin Radd still cried out. He drifted for centuries, a silver shadow gliding between galaxies. His name became legend. Some saw him as a sign of doom, a shining star that arrived before the end. Others whispered of him as a mysterious savior, for sometimes he spared worlds in secret, steering Galactus elsewhere. Yet the chains remained. No matter how far he flew, he could not escape the will of the Devourer. It would take meeting a band of mortals, heroes from a small blue world, to remind him of what it meant to fight for life and to feel the fire of defiance burn again. But that is another story. This was how the Silver Surfer was born, not as a hero, not as a villain, but as the price one man paid to save the world he loved. And though the stars remember his silver light, they also remember the shadow it casts.